Do, do, do. Hey, everybody. Hi, I'm Jamie Migdal. I am the founder and CEO of Fetch Find. We do lots of cool stuff at Fetch Find, but we help people who work with pets. So that could be your dog trainer, your groomer, your daycare person, people, your dog walkers, your pet sitters. We train them to be able to work with your dog. I personally have been at this for, oh my God, 30 years. Oh my gosh, I've been working with animals for 30 years. Yes, I know I started doing it in the womb, as they say. But the reality is that I really have been working with animals for 30 years. I'm a dog trainer. I'm a serial entrepreneur in the pet industry. I've owned lots and lots of companies. This is my fourth company, Fetch Find, and we've been, since all of the craziness has begun, we have been working with our clients who are your pet care providers, those of you who have pets who are here with us today, which I'm so happy to have everybody here. We've been helping them through this crisis. We've been helping them figure out how they can be in service to you, to their clients, to each other, how they can pivot what they're doing to be able to still be a part of giving and creating a good professional pet care environment, even though pet care isn't really happening the way that we all want it to and can't wait for it to come back. Veterinarians are different. And of course, in some states, we realize that there are essential, some pet care services, grooming in particular, some boarding and daycare, those are considered to be essential in some states. But by and large, the reality is that there are hundreds of thousands, about 100 and something thousand pet care businesses right now who really miss taking care of your pets. And so we're here at Fetch Find helping them to figure out ways to come at it. In the meantime, there's still a lot going on out there for people who have dogs. This is a crazy time for people with dogs. In fact, we're saying the joke is that dogs are living their best life, and they are. We're home with them all the time. They're not living, they're being adopted like crazy. Puppies who are coming home to new families are having the advantage of having 24/7 care, attention. We'll talk about maybe why that's not the best idea later. For another day. But by and large, what we're seeing is that people need a lot of support right now because pet ownership is actually on the rise, but pet services are non-existent. And so what do we do as a society, as a community to handle that sort of that dynamic, and what can we do to support everybody? So the first thing and the most important thing that we know is important to, just from a public safety perspective, from just what the future looks like as far as pet ownership, is supporting people right now with the dogs that they have. So we're not going to talk about the pet professionals today, although I love the pet professionals, clearly, because they're my people, but you, pet owners, are my first people. You're my heart. You're why I started out in this industry. What you experience, how you experience your pets, how the quality that you get to, the quality time you get to spend with them, and how you select and how you work with your pet care professionals is what I'm really focused on. So I'm going to step away when we're together on Tuesdays. There you go. See, every Tuesday we can hang out together. When we're together on Tuesdays, I'm going to step away from being a professional educator, right? Like, see this, we train your staff, you grow your business. That's all fine and good. See that pet professionals thing above me? This is about you guys, pet owners. So I'm back in my real place of being a dog trainer now. I really miss being a dog trainer. I'm so happy to be able to have this hour a week where I can lean into it. And not only do I get to lean into it today, but I get to have a guest. It's like a real thing. I have a guest. In a moment here, I'm going to introduce my dear friend, Kelly Elvin. Now, if you know me, if we've ever spent time together, you'll know who Kelly is because I can't talk about her enough. She's an amazing dog trainer who lives in Michigan. She wrote an article. She's actually a prolific writer, very brilliant woman. I'll be introducing her. She's already like, shut up. She wrote an article, I guess she probably put it out about a week ago, which was all about socialization. And our idea was to do the first broadcast today about socialization. Her article was so perfect it landed at every point. It talked, well, you're going to see it, so I won't even go into it now. But the moment I read that article, I called Kelly up, who's a good friend of mine for 20 years, and said, Kel, will you be on my first broadcast? Because what you wrote, I couldn't have said it better. I'll never be able to say it better. Why don't you come on and we'll talk about, we'll geek out about dog stuff. We'll geek out about socialization and puppies and all the things. So on that note, so fancy Kelly, I'm going to bring you in now. Hello, everybody. This is Kelly. Oh, look, someone else posted it. Melanie posted it. That's awesome. So it's already in the comments. Hi, Pam. It's already in the comments. Kelly's awesome blog post. So frankly, here's the deal. If nothing else, if you pop on, you're like, all right, these two girls talking about dog training. All right, fine. I want to know something like our socialization. I just got a puppy. What's going on? At the very least, click on that link. Get that blog post, print it out. If you have a puppy, pass it around to everybody in your family. Anyone that comes in contact with your puppy right now, print it out. It's like the best information. It's such a good guide to just how do you manage having a puppy now. Hi, Kel. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Jamie. It's great to be with you.
I know. We have a really long history together. We've been together.
We do.
Yeah, we love each other.
I'm thinking it's got to be 20 years at this point. I think it legit 20 years.
Yeah. I know, because I met Kelly when her dog, under a very unfortunate circumstance, she and her husband Maddie were saying goodbye to their golden retriever in a veterinary clinic where I worked. And I just stopped by to see how they were doing in a very hard evening. And Kelly is a lawyer. Sorry to call you out on that. She and her husband were both practicing attorneys at the time. And Kelly, after one night of talking, she's like, what if I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore and I wanted to work with dogs? I was like, what? And honestly, from there, I mean, she and Matt, her husband, started taking classes with me. They got another puppy, Sammy. And our relationship blossomed and bloomed. And frankly, Kelly and I have been working together. She helped me run my business. She really ran the business. I would not be who I am without Kelly. And I think that Kelly is probably one of the smartest dog trainers that I've ever met. So, and they do a lot of work in Michigan. Kel, will you talk about your business a little bit so everyone knows what you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously everything that we have here in Michigan is thanks to you because, of your kindness and graciousness in letting me tag along. I mean, I was literally the Jamie Damato groupie, Jamie Damato Migdal groupie, who would, I was that person who would stay after class because I wanted to ask her a question or, talk to her about a book I was reading. So I'm so grateful to you. And not only getting to work with you when we were both in Illinois, but when we moved to Michigan, I just wanted to train dogs. And it started really as a small, I wanted to keep training dogs because I love it. And it's something I'm so passionate about. I've been known to give strangers dog training advice while waiting in line to zip line in, a foreign country. So I just like it. And the cool thing is that it just gradually grew, super organically, where people that I knew who were good trainers said, hey, could I come and teach a class for you? And I was like, heck yeah. And people that were students were really good at dog training. And we thought, well, do you want to learn how to be a trainer? Yeah, they do. So, we're fortunate now. We've got, I think, 8 different instructors in addition to myself and my husband, Matt. So we've got this incredible team. They're super diverse. They've got so many skills and they know everything from dock diving to wakeboarding to disc, competing in dog disc, to behavior, social, play groups. It's just a great group. So that's what we do. And we're based in Kalamazoo. We just opened our own facility 2 years ago, which is very exciting. That was a big step for us. And but we serve everything from the Lakeshore on, out to Kalamazoo and points east. So we've got a really nice client base and we love doing it.
Hold on. Was it other side? How do I do this? It's like this? Wait, where is it?
Yeah, we're here. We're
there. All right. There? Okay.
It's a little harder.
A little backwards. But I do love the Michigan hand.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, I've seen Kelly's new place and it is beautiful. And and Kelly's also offering, by the way, online classes. And lots of people are asking where they can do online classes. And that's that ties to this whole topic of socialization. So Kelly will post some stuff about her online classes. They're doing seminars, they're doing one-offs, they're doing classes, they're doing lots of great things. And if you're looking for a good dog trainer to beyond just reading things or attending webinar, Facebooky, livey things like this, if you are looking for some one-on-one instruction or a more intimate instructional environment, then I'm going to obviously strongly suggest that you guys check out Kelly. And because we are living in a virtual world, you can live. I mean, really, where can they live? They can live anywhere.
I mean, it was kind of fun to say we're officially worldwide. Right?
I know all the digital. Everyone's worldwide now, so we're all just global. We're all just global behemoths. All right, so let's level set. And by the way, I have a special guest, not as special as Kelly, or different special. My dog Sassy, who is going to come and join us in a little while, and we're going to talk about why she's relevant to today's topic. In fact, but I have to warn everybody, she also comes attached to an 8-year-old girl who's going to bring her in very proudly. She's been waiting. When can I bring Sassy in? So we'll bring Sassy in and you'll meet Sadie and it'll be all fun. But here's the deal. Everyone's getting a dog. Everyone. I mean, really. I have never in my life, Kelly, have you ever seen more new pet owners or first-time multiple dog homes? I have never in 30 years.
It's fascinating, right? Because, and I know a lot of folks out here have told us they're fostering for a shelter or they're adopting from a shelter or rescue. And I think that's really cool. It's interesting because I just didn't expect that. But I guess folks figured they were home and they had the time to actually, do that acclimation period the way they'd like to do it. And so they took advantage of it. And it's been a really kind of a lovely silver lining that's come out of this is to see so many dogs finding homes.
It's true. And it really is. And so here's the thing, right? But I'm going to be a little bit of a realist for a moment. To every positive, right, there's a little bit of a balance, and there is a concern right now. And part of the motivation to be with you guys here today, and for Kelly and I to spend some time talking through this, that there is concern that when everything is said and done, whatever everything means and whatever said and done means, not going to get into that, right? But whatever happens next, when people do start leaving their homes again, whether going back to work or whatever it looks like, there is a concern that the shelters are going to have an influx of returned animals. And I think it's a realistic consideration. I hope it doesn't happen, but everyone I've spoken to, Kelly, you're very involved in a shelter in your area, of course. Everyone I've spoken to, they're concerned. I mean, they're sort of preparing, hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. If one thing that we can do here in our time with you is give you I'm talking to you with a puppy at home or with the adult dog, it doesn't really matter. We're going to be a little bit more on puppies today, but this is applicable to all pets, everything we're talking about. But if we can help you feel either not so alone with the struggles that you might be having with your pet, if we can give you some tools, some tricks, some ideas that give you hope that what you're experiencing right now might just be a period piece, that it could just be over quickly, if we can do that for you and you can hold on to your pets even beyond the pandemic and shelter in place, then I feel like if one person gets to have that, then really this sounds super cheesy, but I think we've done something really good. And that's what we're here to do. And as dog trainers have this really funny thing. Like, all we want to do is help people. Like, we're helpers.
Yeah, true.
Like, I don't think people when they want to become a dog trainer, really quickly, I just need to say this. People are like, I don't like people. I want to work with animals. I want to be a dog trainer. Oh my God. That's like one of the most infuriating things for me, because you don't train dogs, you guys, you train the people, and you have to be like cool with people. And the best dog trainers I know, Kelly included, of course, is that she can talk to people and relate to people and be empathetic and be caring and thoughtful and creative. And that's really what dog training is. So with that, we are seeing a huge influx of pets, new dogs to homes, puppies, rescues, combination of those two pieces. And the big buzzword around trainers, and always has been, always will be, is
socialization.
That's right. Everyone's like, oh, I'm socializing, I'm socializing, I'm socializing, I'm socializing. What am I going to do about socializing? Totally fair. We have some ideas, which I think are pretty good. When I say we, I mean Kelly, because she wrote a lot. She wrote this amazing blog. But we want to talk through what socialization really is, what some periods of development look like, and really get you into a place where you feel confident that what you're doing with your dog, regardless of their age, that you're doing things that are going to be accretive to their overall development and life experience for the lifetime that you have your pet, your dog. I mean, I guess this doesn't really apply to cats. Let's not kid ourselves. Within that, you have the blog post, just in terms of resources, you have the blog post. We are also going to give you Fetch Find, because we do online training for pet professionals. We have this beautiful course called Behavior Fundamentals. It's about 7 hours of online learning. It normally costs money, and it usually is for people who work with animals, but it's all really good information, everything from our dogs' wolves to breed information to canine body language, really cool stuff for anyone who loves dogs. It's a free course. We decided at Fetch Find just to make it free for people. You can take it, you can look at it. There's quizzes, there's a bunch of cool stuff. It's good for kids, I think. So we'll put the link to that in here as well, but it's on me, gift. Yeah, it's cool. All right. So what is socialization? Cal, how do you talk about socialization?
Well, I think, it's interesting because when clients ask me about it, or, when pet owners ask about it, what they say is, where can I go to a dog park to get my dog socialized? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want them to back up a step because, I think a lot of folks think socialization means meeting a bunch of people and a bunch of dogs. And that's part of it, but it's only one small part of it. I always like to think about socialization as new sights, new sounds, new experiences, right?
Sounds, experiences.
Absolutely. And so that, is novel noises, walking on different surfaces, seeing all the things that are in the world. We forget, we look at the world through the lens of, an adult person that's lived in the world for X number of years and knows that we know the garbage truck is not a monster that's trying to kill us. Your puppy doesn't know that, and they have no reason to know that. I mean, in fact, based on all the available evidence, it's a terrifying monster that is here to kill us. So, that part of it is I think also, we have to remember, look at the world through your puppy's eyes. They're babies. They're learning about the world. Why would they think that the vacuum cleaner was safe? Why would they think a garbage truck is safe? Right? So we have to teach them that. And so the first thing we do, and it's also important to remember that this is a baseline, it's not about manners. It's not about sits and downs.
That's right.
It's about creating a positive association between something new to your puppy,
Yep.
right? And something they already like. So you're going to start by figuring out, what does your puppy like? We normally use food for this because dogs like food. That's how they live. So you want to find a treat that your dog really likes, but you could certainly, if you have a dog that's very into toys, you could use that as well. Or petting, anything, but food is the easiest and probably the most powerful.
Wait, Kelly, really quickly on food. I feel like this is always a ongoing debate. Yeah. By the way, speaking of animals, I don't know if you can hear what's happening outside this door right here. Can you hear that? You hear that? The pitter patter of feet.
I think someone's excited to be on camera.
Normally I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? But it's like, all right, really? Like, we're all in this together. We are all in together. So I'm going to let her. Oh my God, can you hear that? Now, normally she doesn't do that, but I'm letting it go here. But food, speaking of things, food, people have a weird thing about food and dog training. And even if they can get over, even if people can get over the hump of and get their brain wrapped around that food is okay for dog training and it's actually sort of scientifically, there's lots of reasons based in science and research and lots of other important things that food is actually one of the best approaches you can take as far as motivating a dog and reinforcing behavior. So here's the thing. What do you think, how do you think about food as it relates to using just kibble, using dog treats, whether they be novel dog treats or maybe a dog treat that they're using in the home right now, versus I hate this term, but I'm going to use it. You know, I'm going to say it right. The PPPF. Like, hey, you guys, guess what? The kibble that you're feeding them is people food, just in a dog little nugget thing. So yeah, how do you, during this time, especially with COVID and social distancing, how important is it? I already know the answer, by the way, but I still want to say it. How important is it that we're looking at food differently, even if it's not something that we agree with or we're aligned with? It has to be, right? Like, it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, you go back to the science, right? We're in a time where we are hopefully more focused on science than we've ever been before for our own sakes. The science tells us that,
by the way.
Are we? So what does your dog find reinforcing, right? This is not Kelly's opinion. This is your dog's opinion. What's your dog more excited about? A piece of dry kibble, a milk bone, a piece of hot dog?
How about goodbye stress vitamins or your gummies? They might want that in a dog form, but certainly this is not something that they would want. Right. Kelly, would you like one of these?
Every day. Every day.
And by the way, not getting paid to say that, just they happen to be sitting on my desk and they're very good. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think, and you go back, again, going back to when people say, well, it's people food. A casserole is people food. I don't suggest giving, your tuna casserole to the dog as a dog treat. I think you're going to regret that in about 3 hours, a lot. But things that are whole foods, cooked pieces of chicken breast, is an awesome dog treat. I have a dog that loves Honey Nut Cheerios and will do all sorts of nonsense to get one ridiculous little Cheerio. Like
dog brains.
You want to see that thing, it's a good treat or a good reward for your dog when they light up and they're like, it's like, Christmas morning excited, kid in a candy store excited. You want to see them just be like, what? That's a thing that's available to me? Because then it's a powerful reinforcer.
While you're talking about this, I'm going to go grab an example of this right now.
Yeah.
Keep going on the food thing. And what
it's fine to use kibble. Some of us we're lucky enough to have dogs who really groove on their kibble and want to work for that. It's totally fine to do that. So you have to find what's powerful for your dog. I know I do get asked sometimes about what to do if your dog is on a limited diet. One of my tips for that, I really love to take that, if you have a canned food version of the kibble, is take that canned food, spread it on a cookie sheet, and bake it in your oven at about 250 until, very nice. So bake that canned food in a thin layer on your cookie sheet until it dries out enough that you can break pieces apart. It's a great way to make a semi-moist treat that's super consistent with your dog's current diet, so you're not going to have any unfortunate tummy situation, but it's a little bit different than just their plain old kibble, which might not be that exciting. So use that canned food for sure as an option. So
actually, we are going to do a little demo here with Sassy, unplanned, but still obviously important. So when you talk about using food, I'll use I have some chicken breast here, actually. We had it for dinner last night. This fun little, chicken fajitas. So it was mixed dark and white. You don't really care about that, but just a little detail. So here's Sassy. By the way, Sassy, here. Oh, this is Sadie too, by the way. Hey. Okay. So this is Sassy. Sassy is 3 years old. She is hideous looking. She's got spots and she looks like a complete freak show. But she's the best dog ever. She is, So she's a rescue from Hurricane Harvey. We got her 2 years ago, Labor Day. If you all remember, Hurricane Harvey was the Houston hurricanes and the floods. And she came to us with heartworm, pneumonia, multiple GI worms and parasites, and was really, didn't know if she'd live or not. But it was really important because we didn't know her, and I have children and what have you, that socialization and what Kelly's talking about, what we're talking about today, started to happen. And so I really relied on food big time for this. And if I didn't have this because she was so sick, I don't know what I would have done. But I do want to just quickly, if we can. All right, Sadie, thank you. You're awesome. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Bye. She doesn't want to go by, but she's all excited right now. So here's the thing about food. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. So with Sassy, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this on the floor, so I'll just do this here. I want to show you what I'm using here. I mean, this is even too big. I'll even go smaller, right, Cal?
I usually say, just as a rough measurement, like the size of a pea.
There you go.
Size, and you can always go a little smaller for a smaller dog, or a little bigger. You know, when I'm working with a Mastiff, I need to give them a treat that's big enough that they can actually feel it in their giant maw. So, but yeah, about the size of a pea is usually what I recommend.
And if you can see too, just in terms of if we're going to get really detailed about how you're going to use food, since food is a big part of the job of socialization right now, especially given social distancing, it is important that I'm glad, Cal, I'm glad we're talking about this, because I feel like we didn't sort of think about this in the pre-talking, but to actually show what food looks like. Because if you give them too much, they'll fill up, and you won't have much of a window to make some behavioral impact. So this one piece of chicken, which sort of fits in the palm of my hand, if you can see, that should probably last me an entire training session or close to it. So just, this is a good example of it. Do you want to stay here with me? Go ahead, Cal. Sorry, I'm gonna put her down here. Okay, so food, training.
Yeah. So, and if you want to use kibble, as I said, of course, I had a dog for many years that just really loved his kibble, and that was great. And that's what we used for training. I always like to think about, when we're using food reinforcers, think that also gives your dog information. You can use a higher value reinforcer to serve as a gold star. Right? So it's a great way to really make a memorable impression. If your dog has a breakthrough in training or does something that was particularly difficult for them, you can jackpot. So you can give multiple treats, and you can also jackpot by just giving, we were working with kibble and now all of a sudden there's a piece of string cheese, right? That's going to make an impression on your dog. So I sometimes will use the quality of my reinforcers to give the dog information about the quality of their performance, right? Adequate behavior gets a piece of kibble, superstar behavior gets a piece of cheese. So you can use, or chicken. Yeah, you can use that to give them information.
So, okay, so now we're out. So now, actually, I mean, maybe this is the time that we cross over, Cal, into sort of talking about what it looks like right now. You guys, so great. You have a new dog, any age. You cannot, it is impossible to do true socialization. By the way, do we already talk about the window of socialization, like sort of the clinical window?
Not yet, no.
So there's clinical windows of socialization. We were talking a few minutes ago that everyone uses the idea of socialization as sort of a blanket term that you can do at any point in a dog's life. That's actually it's not inaccurate, but it's from a sort of a definition perspective, there's some inaccuracy to that. So socialization is a window in a puppy's life that you're basically, like Kelly said earlier, you're giving them information during that time that they're storing away for future access. And the more information that you can give them, wait until you see what's happening right now. Wait until you see what's happening right now, if you can. Yeah, you see what's happening on my desk? That's right. This is the dog trainer's dog. That's the dog trainer's dog right there. So there's this finite time that you're sort of loading them with information that they can access later. But
yeah, so I think, again, that's really important for folks to realize, that if you have a young puppy, the clock is ticking. This is not like it's not like a hard and fast, okay, after this age, you can't socialize anymore and it's pointless. But we know that the first 4 months of a puppy's life are the most critical. And that's where we're getting the most benefit out of our socialization work. So that has to be a priority. If you've got limited time, we'll focus on house training and socialization, because those two things are going to help you the most in the long run. You can work on sits anytime, but you don't get those first 4 months back. So you really want to focus heavily on socialization during that time period. And then you want to keep working on it, maybe not your laser focus, but you want to keep that skill fresh and sharp going forward, because puppies will go through a second fear period between 6 months.
What's a second fear? Well, it's a second fear period, right?
So you're going to notice that your puppy gets kind of wary or spooky around things, and it can be things that they have been around their whole lives. For example, let's say you did everything right. You socialize the heck out of your puppy. And then one day you go out into your backyard and your 9-month-old puppy starts barking ferociously at the gas grill. Right? And you're like, that grill's been here your whole life. I know, but now I'm in my second fear period. So even things that your puppy knew about and felt okay with before can cause that reaction. The good news is that secondary fear period usually doesn't last too long, a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. But it's really important to go back to our basics. And let's talk about how we use our food, right? So it's pairing. New thing in the environment. So garbage truck, plastic bag flapping in the breeze leads to treat, right? Then it's linear that way. I think that's also really important to talk about. You're not just throwing treats in your dog's face and hoping that they associate them with what's happening around them.
Right.
Wait until your puppy notices that garbage truck or that, person on a bike or that plastic bag caught in a tree. When they notice it, praise, then treat. So new stuff predicts yummy stuff.
So also with that, and I think this is another thing leading back to really how can we as pet professionals, dog trainers, as a community, as a society rather, really help to support people to keep their pets beyond the period that we're in right now. The concern is that because it is harder to socialize right now, your puppies or create some normal associations for adult dogs, which we'll talk about in a moment, that if you don't do that, or even if you do that, it doesn't matter what you do or don't do, that a lot of times when folks get upon that second fear period and they see a dog that they don't recognize, and also with that second fear period comes just, it could be a revisitation to destruction, chewing, house training could be forgotten a bit, other behaviors that you felt like were eradicated or trained out or whatever, however you're thinking about this, they resurface during that second fear period, and also a little bit later on as well. And that's when people will return dogs. That's when people get frustrated. That's when people feel overwhelmed. They think they did the training, they have this dog, and all of a sudden that same dog is now barking at kids. So really, this is such a good moment to think about and to sort of prepare yourself. And again, if your dog happens to be in that period right now, this is really important because you can actually use your chicken and hot dogs and kibble to help them through that, because the dog you have now is a dog that you have now. So how do you typically instruct people around that?
Yeah. And, first of all, I always want to let folks know, once you know what's happening, you realize that, your dog's not being a jerk or your dog's not being irrational. They're struggling, and it's a normal development period. It doesn't mean that you as an owner are failed or did something wrong. It's a normal developmental period. Every puppy's going to go through it. The degrees are going to vary, but it's there. It's going to happen. It's just part of growing up. And as you've so beautifully noted, it coincides with adolescence when we see a lot of challenging stuff. So all of a sudden, our puppy isn't so little and cute anymore. They're doing some naughty behaviors, and they're also acting like a barky maniac when we go out for a walk in our neighborhood and everyone's wondering, why is your dog being so bad? And it can create a lot of frustration and anger and shame. So the first thing I do is just normalize it. Hey, we all go through this. This is a normal thing that dogs go through. Go back and then, so don't be angry with your dog. Don't think they're trying to be dominant or problematic in any way. They're struggling. So if you come at it from that perspective, how can you help them? Number one, give them a little more space from whatever it is that they're barking at or reacting to. Don't force them to go up and deal with it. More space helps your dog feel safe. Yep. So more space, number one. And the same thing goes true with baby puppies. We don't throw them in the deep end of the pool, so to speak, right? We don't force them to engage with stuff. We let them notice it from whatever distance they're comfortable. Again, notice, praise, and treat. And then I like to retreat, move a few steps away, turn around and do it again. So with these adolescent dogs, all the more important that we give them space. They know they feel safe. We have to be a good home base for them, right? They have to know that their owner is going to take care of them. They can't be feeling like we're angry when they're struggling, when they're afraid. We would never scold a child for having a nightmare. We shouldn't scold our dogs for reacting because they're going through this fear period.
So with that too, part of, I know we're sort of going back and forth between different stages of puppy, of dog, different canine development stages. We're talking about puppies and we're talking about fear period and adolescence. The reality is that most of it can sound overwhelming, but here's like the crib note. Like here's the secret sauce. Food neutralizes everything. Food turns things that are scary into things that aren't scary. Food creates opportunities for having an impact with your pet. Food is really helpful. And when we're in a social distancing world like we are right now, and you need to have stuff that is that there's sort of a tangible outcome for you and your dog as you're walking through the park or in your backyard. Food is going to be your best friend. I mean, frankly, food is going to be the most important thing you do during the coronavirus crisis. And as you are trying, and this isn't just for, by the way, Kel, I think this is important too. This isn't just for new dogs. I've been hearing, have you been hearing about dogs that are becoming desocialized? I've been hearing a lot about dogs who used to like things and now they already work so hard to get them used to stuff. And now they haven't been around that stuff for 5-6 weeks. Food, like food.
Yeah.
Wait, Jessica has a question. Hi, Kelly. Question. Can older adult dogs have fear periods? Any tips for socialization? Oh, we're talking about that right now. That's so funny. Or okay. That's so funny. Or resocialization for adult dogs that have developed new fears. So go ahead, Kel.
Yeah, I mean, it's so the developmental timelines are going to shift a little bit based on, smaller breeds are going to mature a little faster. Giant breeds are going to mature a little more slowly. So that secondary fear period can happen later, more in the 12 to 18 months range for giant breed dogs. Typically, once they're over 2, if you're seeing fearfulness, it's not technically a fear period, but it may be that your dog either had an event that startled them and created a fear. And, again, sometimes it's things that we don't realize because to us it's just normal life, but something spooked our dog. So there can be like a triggering event. Or, the dog may have just desocialized a little bit. As you mentioned, I always say to my clients, use it or lose it. You can socialize the heck out of your puppy up to 6 months of age, but then if you keep them indoors for the next 6 months, they're going to be weird.
Which is what's happening right now, frankly. I mean, that's what's going on. People are freaking out because they got these, and like, right, because there's always, people are always getting dogs, and the people who got the dogs before the crisis, they're like, great, now what do I do?
Yeah, and it's actually, the timing of this is particularly challenging because, those of us that live in the north part of the country where we have significant winter, our dogs do tend to get a little rusty on their socialization skills over the winter because we just don't go out as much. We don't have as many people over. And so our worlds get a little smaller, right? And so spring is normally when we kind of come out from that isolation and start to re-engage. And we often see some reactivity or some fearfulness emerging then because the dog.
Wait, can you just explain reactivity? I feel like that term for pet owners, dog owners is really convoluted. Like, what is a reactive dog versus an aggressive dog, and how does that work with socialization? Let's look at that a little bit, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. I've seen a lot of people in my own neighborhood who, again, whether they're new dogs or whether they're just dogs that haven't had access, there's a lot going on out there on leash.
Yeah. So for me, reactivity is typically anytime I see, a significant amount of barking, lunging, growling, just general bouncing around in response to a trigger, which might be other people, other dogs, other things in the environment. It can accompany aggression, but it's not necessarily predictive of aggression or correlated with aggression, right? I also want to distinguish this from just normal puppy nonsense, right? Puppy enthusiastic, hey, is that a friend? What's going on over there? That's not, to me, is reactivity. True reactivity typically comes out of fearfulness, right? And so it's going to be a dog that says, I don't know if that's safe. I don't know if that person over there is safe. I don't know if that dog over there is safe. So I'm going to bark to create social distance. Versus aggression, which is competition over resources.
By the way, you just said something. That's like the most interesting thing. Dogs actually do behaviors to create social distance for themselves. They're really smart. Like, if they feel like something isn't safe or they're not sure what to do about it, they will engage in behaviors to keep what they consider to be the threat away. Dogs are actually the most brilliant social distancers in the world. I never even put that together until just this very moment.
It's really fascinating. And, barking is really just sort of one extreme of that. We don't even see all the little signals. The one that I always think of is I call it talking to the paw, where the dog turns away. Yes. Nope. And so that one is such a subtle one, and it doesn't create a lot of commotion. So people often miss that, where they say to the other dog, I'm not interested in you. I don't want to engage. Please don't keep trying.
Which right now, frankly, is probably, as we discussed, like you and I were talking a little bit earlier today, that's the reality of things. And that's sort of what we really want to I think if the one thing, Kelly, we can do right now is make people feel good about the fact that, or as best as we can make them feel, and give them tools, give you guys tools, because you cannot socialize right now. You can't do it the way that we want to be able to have you do it, which is to have dogs engage with other people. Socialization to other humans and other dogs is a really essential piece, and you can't do that right now. I mean, people are doing it. Do you hear the scratching? Can you hear that? That's sassy. When they come back in, because guess what's on this side of the door? Chicken. So people are, there's a struggle because they want that connectivity and that contact for the dogs, but they can't have it. Yeah. So what are things that we can do with our puppies, with our dogs of any age, to still work towards the socialization effort, but not actually have contact?
Yeah, absolutely. So, number one, you're going to just take that yummy food and create positive associations towards other animals, right? So let's say you're out on a walk and you're safely social distancing at the park or the trail. You want to give your dog enough space so that the other dog isn't encroaching on their personal space. We sometimes forget that leashes change things. So when we're on walks and the dogs are on leash, number one, that's inhibiting their ability to fully social signal with their body language, right? We're restricting their body. And number two, they can sometimes feel trapped. And that tells them they can't run away, right? Because they're attached to their human. So they're going to resort to that bark to create that social distance if they feel overwhelmed. So let's give our dogs more space. Let's not have them so that they can be, touching each other. And when our dog goes, hey, I see a dog over there, and you see their ears prick up, praise and put a treat in their mouth, right? Keep in mind, we're not pulling the eye contact back to us. This is not about, no, don't look at the dog, look at me. It is look at the dog and get paid for looking, right? Okay. So really important that we time our praise while the dog is looking. Our praise says that, I want you to look at that dog. I want you to look at that stroller with the jogger. I want you to look at those kids over there, right? So that's the idea. We connect looking at dogs, looking at people, looking at strollers with praise and treat.
Part of what you wrote in your blog article was to do things like go for rides, go for car rides, go park in different neighborhoods, go get different experiences. Don't just isolate on your route, because you're actually missing out great opportunities from to introduce new things just by sort of natural occurrence. And so I don't think people think about that. I haven't seen many dogs in cars, although I haven't really been in many cars myself. But nonetheless, this is a great opportunity to go and check out different neighborhoods, walk around. Like Kelly said earlier, new sight sounds. Actually, Alexa Alonso wrote this, and I love that she captured this. New sight comment here. New sights, sounds, and experiences are definitely important to development. Oh, and by the way, there are some questions here. How do you differentiate socialization from desensitization? And also the other question, by the way, is how old is a puppy when it goes to the second fear period? Was it around 9 months? So let's go ahead with that first. Kelly, how old is a puppy at second fear period?
Yeah, that second fear period can start pretty young. Can start, I often see it in puppies around 5 months.
Yeah, that's 20 weeks, right? Same.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think right around that 5-month mark, and but it can occur anytime between then and 12 months, or again, even a little after 12 months. If it's a giant breed dog that matures a little more slowly, you might see it in that 14 months, even up to 18. That would be a little late. Yeah. So that absolutely, you can start seeing it in a quite a young puppy, 5 months, where suddenly they're barking at a lot more things than they did before. And then the other question was
differentiation, socialization, and desensitization.
Oh, that's
a good topic.
Socialization is also, the process is using classical conditioning, counter conditioning, right? This goes back to our friend Pavlov. Right? He took something that dogs didn't know anything about, ringing a bell, and he paired it with something dogs know a lot about, delicious steak, right? So he took the thing that they didn't know about, ring the bell, and then he gave them delicious steak. And when you repeat that enough times, you ring the bell and the dog salivates because they're thinking about delicious steak. That's the same process we're using here. So we see the vacuum cleaner and we get a treat. We see a jogger with a stroller, we get a treat. We see the garbage truck, we get a treat, right? So that's classical conditioning or counter conditioning if we're changing the association. In this instance, for a lot of our dogs, they have no association. So we want to create that positive. So it's not technically counter conditioning, it's just classical conditioning.
Or desensitization. I mean, that's another way of looking at it. It's really desensitizing them to things that they were afraid of using a food reward in this case.
Right. And desensitization is going to particularly come into place with things like sound triggers. The vacuum is a classic one, simply because, the vacuum has one volume, right? Terrible. The volume is terrible. So a lot of our clients say to us, well, the dog's really afraid of the vacuum. So first off, we start with the vacuum stationary and off, and we just make a circle of treats around that, or we do our look at that. Then we might move the vacuum, but leave it off. Then we might make the vacuum stationary, but turn it on. Now, if your dog's really triggered by that sound, what do? Here's what you do. When your dog's not in the room, you record the sound of your vacuum on your smartphone, and you play it back at the lowest volume possible for your dog to notice it.
And you can do that now. That's the thing too. If anyone has problems with their dogs around any of these issues, any challenges, anything you're trying to overcome, if you're in a position in your life that you are able to shelter in place, you do have time. And everyone's working a lot right now. Folks that are working from home, if you're working from home, you're working more than you probably have ever worked in your life. So that's maybe a bit of a different story. But if you are in a position where you are home and you're looking for things to do, this sounds like potentially a little bit extreme. It's not, because you get to do it right now. And again, the whole idea is to build good behaviors, to desensitize, to socialize, to create a pet that will be with you for your whole life. These are the little moments that normally we don't have time to think about or do. It's sort of like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? But if you're in a position where your dog is afraid of things, that you can, grab your iPhone or your smartphone and record the noise, it's actually a really brilliant idea and a really wonderful thing to be able to do.
And let's just talk about that time issue, because I think this is something that more globally comes up with training, is that folks feel like, oh, I don't have, 45 minutes a day to train my dog. Yeah, no one does. Like, I don't expect you to do that. But take 5 minutes. One trick I often give to my clients is, great, count up 20 treats and do 20 steps. Or you might do 20 of these socialization exercises we're talking about. Yeah. It takes literally 2 minutes.
So then that has a question too, what if the stimulus, so what if the thing that we're trying to work against or work with trumps the treats, the excitement of the treat? What do we do then? It's somewhat similar to what you just talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, you're too close, right? The dog's too close. The cool thing is the dog tells us everything we need to know. We don't have to guess. The dog tells us. If your dog won't take a yummy, yummy piece of chicken, if your dog can't respond to look at you when you say their name, you're too close, right? And so more space is always the answer. You can always work your way back in, but move farther away until your dog is able to go, oh, I'm not worried about that anymore. I'm relaxed enough that I can look at you and I can eat something that I like.
So in summary, if your dog is not taking a treat because there's something that's making them anxious or worried or upset, then you're just too close to that thing. It's just like the vacuum cleaner. If the vacuum cleaner, when you're in front of it's too loud, too upsetting, then you take some either distance or you actually remove the vacuum cleaner and you replace it with the sound of the vacuum cleaner. As dog trainers too, we're always thinking about seasonal dog training. So in the winter puppies don't get to see skateboards during their period of socialization, bikes, bike helmets, bathing suits, what have you, pool noodles. So there's something about that as well that you can think about. So what are the things that your puppy or your dog that you're working with, either desensitization or socialization, what are the things that because of shelter in place that they don't have access to right now? Think about those things, make a mental list, and go seek them out. And also, and frankly, the weather component, the seasonality also works. If you have a dog right now that you didn't have when there was snow on the ground, shovels, snow blowers, things like that, this is an awesome opportunity to get your chicken go for the things that they didn't have any access to because of either seasonality or because you're on lockdown, and go find that stuff now and throw some food at them while they're experiencing it. Kelly's really smart, and she's really articulate, and she's really precise in her delivery around methodology. And also, like, Kelly, your information is always so accessible. And I think the one thing that people probably don't know about you, and I know about you really, really well, is that you are an incredibly forgiving dog trainer. There's sort of like in dog training, there's this sort of ideal, right? Like timing perfectly, using things perfectly, being, sort of setting things up. And as a professional dog trainer, it's sort of what you're always aspiring to. But the truth of the matter is, and I always call myself a lazy dog trainer. You're not a lazy dog trainer. I'm a lazy dog trainer. But the truth of the matter is that like none of this has to be perfect. It's okay. Like, it's okay, you guys, it's okay to go out there and just grab a bag of chicken, give your dog chicken. Is it the right time? Is it the wrong time? Whatever. It's okay. The idea is that you understand that your goal is to create a bond, do some basic training, some attention training. And like, if you can continue to work on things to get them used to stuff, then that's just a double bonus.
Yeah. And, I want to just talk, I love that so much. The never has anything been truer than the perfect is the enemy of the good, right? Just don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on your dog. Like we're all a work in progress. So just go out there and do the best that you can and do everything with an eye towards how do I support this puppy to grow up to be the dog of my dreams, right? That's what you should be thinking about. I wanted to just briefly talk a bit about what happens when something unexpected happens. You're out walking your dog and suddenly there's a terrible boom from the construction site that you didn't realize was around the corner, or suddenly a dog comes, runs up to the fence you're walking past and starts barking its full head off at your little puppy or your adult dog. What do you do when those sort of sudden, unexpected things happen and you're not able to control the environment? I always like to just, first of all, talk in a normal tone of voice to my dog, right? Well, that was annoying. That was terrible. That was a terrible sound. Let's keep
moving. You are so good at that. You really are good at that.
Well, and I've trained myself like that. I've built that in. And, Jamie, you remember when we met, I had Boomer. And I had to train myself to talk calmly because Boomer freaked out a lot about stuff. So
this is hard.
Yeah, so this has been a skill set I've been working on for decades. So I talk, first of all, I talk it through in a normal tone of voice. I don't mollycoddle. I don't get all like, oh, baby. I don't do that because I don't want to call attention to it. I want to normalize it, right? So I just go, yep, that was terrible. Let's go. Here's some cheese. So I normalize it with my tone of voice. I feed because just like you said earlier, right? Let's use that powerful reinforcer. It's a terrible noise, but cheese fell in my face, so I probably don't feel quite as bad as I did 10 seconds ago. Right. And then we just move away, right? So talk in a normal tone of voice, feed, move away. And just get past it and recognize that, 99.9% time out of 100, these one-off, like annoying, startling things aren't going to do lasting damage if we just keep our heads, feed, and move on, right? All we're doing here is a numbers game. We're creating this vast library of positive experiences for our puppies. So when those crummy experiences happen, the puppy goes, well, I didn't love that, but it was one. And on the other side, I've got 1,000 brilliant, lovely experiences, right? And so we counterbalance it that way.
Sarah, Kelly, can you see the comments or can I only see them?
I can't see them now.
So funny. This is the first time we're using this platform. I have to figure out how you can see them at some point too.
Wait, maybe I can't. Oh, yep, I can.
You see that? You see Sarah Eason, I think I'm saying your name right, Sarah? No baby talk. It's so true. It's hard sometimes, and we're all human, and we all sometimes go there with our creatures, baby talk. But baby talk is hard because it's actually very arousing for dogs. It's not, you want to, in a moment where you're working on sort of a behavioral transition, if you will, that the more sort of not unique voice that you're using, so the more normal voice, the calm voice like Kelly was talking about, that will go much further for you than, what do you call it, mollycoddling?
Yeah.
What's the word?
I'm such a nerd, mollycoddling.
I mean, that's just, I don't think I've ever said the word out loud. I do love it though. What does that mean even? Just
it means coddling them. It means treating them, like baby talking them. So
I wonder where that word came from. Is there someone, well, we can talk about that later. I'm curious though. I think if anyone's going to know what mollycoddling came from, it would.
This is what happens when you read a lot of 19th century British literature.
And that's exactly my point. Oh my Lord. All right. So voices are important. Normalizing things are important. And I'm just looking at my notes here, Cal, because we talked about so much stuff around just coaching yourself, getting clear about what socialization is, and not feeling overwhelmed by it, because it is. Listen, you guys, there's a lot of overwhelming stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
A lot of overwhelming stuff. And I think that Kelly and I'm going to speak for you, Kel.
Sure.
Okay. So Kelly and I, yes, we have a long history of being colleagues and friends. And obviously this is my first time doing anything like this on Facebook. And I was a little bit nervous and not sure how this was going to work. And I feel so much better that Kelly is here with me doing this. And we always said that we sort of shared a brain on many things. And I'm honored to feel that way around someone who's as smart and just so thoughtful as you. But here's the thing. I think that given that this is not normal time, and in normal time, we wouldn't be sitting here doing this, number one, and you would be taking puppy classes, or you would be making a lot of mistakes and figuring them out later. But given that, like, right now you have the time, we all have the time to do things and look at things a little bit differently. If we can sort of impart that wisdom here and give you something to hold on to while you're going through whatever it is that you're going through in your life, but then thinking of your dog and socialization and training as a true escape. And it is. Mm-hmm. It could become a hobby. It could become something you do, later in your life. You can compete. You can do different things. I mean, there's dogs offer us, oh my gosh, they offer us so much, and not just love and companionship, but they offer us opportunities to connect with people, to get exercise, to learn new things, to sit on Facebook on a Tuesday afternoon talking to two dog trainers about socialization. But this is such a unique time in all of our life and all of our lives. And that for those of us who have new dogs or want to work with our dog, there's an abundance of great resources and information out there, some of which we've shared with you here today. But if anything else, I think that the most important thing to Kelly and I is that if you're struggling, you're not alone, and there's so many resources, and you can reach out to Kelly or myself. You can leave a comment. We'll go back and review them. And there's really, the only mistake that you could possibly be making right now, frankly, maybe there's a couple, but probably the biggest mistake you can be making, and I know you're not making it, is not caring, because you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't care. And so it's okay. And whatever, like, you're going to have a dog that is going to be who they are in spite of you, no matter what. But the idea behind thinking through socialization at a level and in a moment that we're in, it's just to enhance the relationship that you're already building. And it's not to put pressure on you, and it's not to be perfect, and it's not to have a checklist, although we do have socialization checklists if you would like one. We really do. It's really to have those moments where you can just be with your dog and enjoy it. And that's dog ownership shouldn't be full of stress, especially now. And if you're feeling stressed, then you should look for help. Kelly's company, Tip Top Tails, does, like we mentioned, they do lots and lots of seminars and training and things. And this is not a sales pitch by any means. She just happens to be a fantastic trainer who offers online stuff. Don't be alone. If you need some help, please reach out. There's lots of other great resources across the internet and across your communities. Get some help. We really want to see you guys keep your dogs. And I know some of you are thinking, I would never give my dog up. Ideally, that's the case, right? Ideally, that's the case. And that's always what we want to consider to be that's hopefully what will happen for everybody. But if there's things that you can do to make it so you're going to be as successful as possible, but also be easy on yourself, then this is the time to do it. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one thing that's cool about this socialization is, rather than feel overwhelmed by it, use it as an opportunity to really observe your dog. You're going to be amazed at how much you learn about your dog and how you build that relationship when you're just watching them. Watch what their body language does. What are their ears doing? Is their weight centered over their paws? Is it shifted back? Is it shifted forward? Is their head up? Is their head down? What's their tail doing? When you start to really watch your dog's body language as you're going through this socialization process, you're going to learn so much. For me, I think that was the thing that got me hooked. I really felt like I got a secret decoder ring, and suddenly I could see something that had been hidden from me. And so, anytime you get the chance to really observe your dog closely, and socialization is a great opportunity to do that. You're going to learn a lot, and you're really going to see your dog with kind of fresh eyes. And so I 100% agree, Jamie. Don't, use this stuff as, oh, there's one more thing on my list. It's something you're doing to build the dog of your dreams for tomorrow. It's also a lot of fun. Have fun with it. Get your silly hats on and, get your bikes out and, enlist your neighbors. If maybe your neighbor wants to be in their front yard and their dog is the dog that you're practicing with, and then you can help them, or your kids can ride a bike past their house and they can practice with their dog. So there's lots of ways that we can be supportive of each other in our communities and be safe, but still help our dogs to grow up to be great family companions.
Yeah, that is beautiful. We are at 1 hour, which is our ending time. With that, if you have any questions, if you need something, reach out to me. I'm jamie@fetchfind.com. Kelly is kelly@tiptoptails.com. I don't know how this platform acts after we go off air, so I assume that all of the commentary is still alive, but we'll post things into Fetch Find's Facebook page so you can have access to some of those resources. Be safe. I know there's many things to say about how to take care of yourself. The fact that you have a dog, that's a great first, second, third, fifth step. So enjoy your dogs, enjoy the time with them. We're here for you if you need us. We really thank you for spending this time with us. Thanks for all the great questions. Kelly, I love you and I adore you, and I love that we got to do this together today.
Me too. Love you too, Jamie. It was great as always to talk dogs with you. It's pretty much my favorite thing to do. So thanks.
You too. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.